Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the Gordon Ramsay empire. We're going to explore how that famously fiery personality wasn't just for show, but was the secret ingredient to building a global brand that, honestly, should have failed multiple times.
And it all kind of starts with a number like this one, $100 million. And no, that's not his net worth. That was the value of a single partnership deal, a deal that completely changed the game, turning his business from a collection of restaurants into a full-blown corporate machine.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? How do you take a personality, a huge personality, and turn it into something permanent, something that can outlast you? That's what we're answering today. We're going to trace Ramsay's incredible journey from his rise out of, well, nothing, to the brink of total collapse, and then the genius reinvention that saved it all. Okay, so to really hit the Ramsay brand, you first have to get the man himself. And that story, well, it starts in a pretty tough place. It's a childhood that created what you could call a psychological furnace, fueling this relentless, almost desperate drive for success.
Yeah, a hard-drinking womanizer. Those are Ramsay's own words to describe his father. He grew up in a really unstable home with an abusive, alcoholic parent, and that constant chaos created what he called a deep hunger to succeed. So for him, it wasn't just about cooking well. It was this deep, deep need to build something solid, something that could never be taken away from him.
You know, his first love wasn't even the kitchen. It was football. He was this promising, naturally aggressive player, good enough to be on trial with Glasgow Rangers. But at 19, a bad knee injury just completely shattered that dream. And that failure, for a 19-year-old, that's devastating. But all that aggressive energy he had for the field, it had to go somewhere. And it went straight into the kitchen.
So what he did next was just brilliant. It was a masterclass in apprenticeship. He didn't just learn to cook. He went out and found Europe's most demanding, most brilliant chefs. He learned what resilience really meant under the legendary, notoriously terrifying Marco Pierre White, mastered classic French cooking with Albert Roux, and then perfected that 3-star discipline in Paris. You see, this wasn't just about learning recipes. This was Ramsay deliberately building himself, piece by piece, into a culinary weapon.
All right, so he's got the skills, he's paid his dues, he's mastered the craft. But his next move had nothing to do with cooking. No, this was a ruthless, totally audacious power play for his own freedom, and it became the stuff of legend. This is where the Gordon Ramsay brand was truly born.
Okay, so get this. The story of how he got his independence is just wild. Back in 1998, he wanted to break away from the restaurant Aubergine. So he orchestrated a heist. First, he hires some guy on a motorbike to literally snatch the restaurant's reservation book. The actual physical book. Back then, that cripbles the business overnight. Then he publicly blames his old mentor, Marco Pierre White, for it. He created so much chaos that he was able to force his way out and launch his own place. And the craziest part, he didn't admit he was behind the whole thing for almost a decade.
But here's the thing about that kind of ruthless ambition. It can make you vulnerable. His empire was growing like crazy, but it was almost completely wiped out. First, by a global financial crisis, and then by something way, way worse, a betrayal from inside his own family.
So the first hit came in 2008. The financial crisis just slammed into his company like a freight train. Just look at the numbers. Pre-tax profits fell from over £3 million to less than $400,000 in 1 year. That is a nearly 90% drop. Just boom, almost everything gone.
The business was right on the edge of bankruptcy. We're talking millions in tax bills he couldn't pay. Ramsay literally had to pour his own money back in to save it, even selling his beloved Ferrari. And this moment, this crisis, was a huge turning point. It forced him to stop thinking like a boutique chef and start thinking like a disciplined CEO, just to stay alive.
So just when you think he's getting back on his feet, the business gets rocked by something even deeper. He had to fire his own father-in-law, who was the CEO of the company. And in response, Ramsay became the target of this incredibly nasty, personal campaign of corporate espionage.
The scale of this betrayal is just mind-blowing. Think about this. The company's computers were hacked 1,983 times by his own family. And they weren't just looking for embarrassing emails. No, they were systematically stealing everything. Financial data, business plans, personal info, trying to burn the whole thing to the ground from the inside.
Get this, on one single day, they broke into the system 600 times. 600! This wasn't just some messy family drama, it was a full-on, sophisticated cyber attack. It was so serious, his father-in-law actually went to prison for it.
So after surviving a financial collapse and this insane family betrayal, Ramsay completely reinvents his strategy. He starts to use his TV fame not just for being famous, but as a powerful marketing engine for the business. And maybe most importantly, he starts bringing in professional partners to protect what he's built.
His TV production company, Studio Ramsay Global, just became this incredible content factory. You see, shows like Hell's Kitchen or Next Level Chef weren't just TV shows, they were a perfect marketing loop. They built his global brand, which drove people directly into his restaurants. The media and the food business started feeding each other.
And at the same time, the restaurant business itself totally changed. He realized he couldn't just rely on those super high-end, high-risk fine dining spots anymore. So he diversified into more accessible brands, like Bread Street Kitchen or even quick service spots like Street Burger. It was an absolutely brilliant strategy, right? The Michelin stars give you the prestige, the wow factor. But the casual restaurants, they bring in the steady, scalable cash that actually fuels the growth and protects you from risk.
And that brings us full circle, right back to that $100 million number we started with. This deal with Lion Capital was the final piece of the puzzle. It professionalized the whole operation, giving it the cash and the corporate structure it needed to go from big to, well, massive. The chef was now, without a doubt, a CEO. So, the empire is stable. It's professional. It's a machine. What's next? Well, now the focus is all on the future. It's about making this brand last forever. It's about succession planning and cementing a legacy that's bigger than just Gordon Ramsay himself.
And this plan for the future, it's really smart, hitting on all cylinders. You've got his massive digital presence, over 115 million followers, which acts like a giant funnel for his actual restaurants. At the same time, he's setting up the next generation with his daughter Tilly's career, while he himself is shifting from being the star player to being the coach, investing in the people who once worked for him. It's a complete 360-degree plan to make sure the brand lives on.
When you really boil it all down, what we're looking at here is a textbook case of something called institutionalization. It's the journey of taking a powerful, volatile personality and turning it into an enduring, resilient corporate standard. The Ramsay way isn't just one guy yelling about lamb sauce anymore. It's a repeatable, global business system. He's turned his personality into a process.
So after all of that, the fire, the failure, the betrayal, the reinvention, we're left with one big question. Has the institution that Gordon Ramsay built become so big, so powerful, that it doesn't even need him anymore?